Hello, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Sarah Edens, a finance coach, author, and wealth mindset researcher, and we're here for part 2 of my holiday debt-free budget workshop. So welcome, welcome. And if you haven't already, you can download my 8-page holiday budget workbook. I will put the information for how to do that in the description box and a little sneak peek of what the workbook looks like. It's super fun. You just go to sarahedens.com/holiday 2023. And then from there, you can download your workbook, print it off, and have this beautiful guide to be able to help you out. Here's what it looks like once it's been printed out. So it's a gorgeous one. If you've got a color printer, you can print it in color. It also prints fine in black and white. It just takes a little while. At least with my printer, it took a little while to get it all printed out. But absolutely a fun resource for you that I designed to go along with our little workshop here on YouTube, to be able to give you some really good practical kinds of hands-on ways to start making your shopping lists, start putting your holiday budget items together. And one thing that I didn't include in here, but I think is really important to mention, is charitable giving during the holiday season. The reason I didn't include it in here is because the way I teach on my channel is that we practice charitable giving throughout the year. So that's what I teach my students, is to just work charitable giving into your budget as a line item throughout the year. Don't wait till the holidays. But if the way that you do it is to give during the holidays and give back to causes and charities that you support, that's absolutely fine too. So you can definitely add that into your holiday budget going forward, along with all of the other holiday expenses. And I would say right now, there's never been a more important time to give back. We're living in these times where there's so much violence, there's so much war. We're just watching these times of enormous natural disasters, and it's just very distressing to see other human beings going through all of these incredibly distressing experiences. And so if you have a way that you can find room in your budget, either every single month or at least at the holidays, if there's a way that you can work in a way to give back and help alleviate some of the suffering that's going on around us right now, please definitely do that. One thing that I would encourage you to do as you're picking out which charities to support is make sure to look them up and make sure that they're a reputable organization that manages the money coming in wisely and well to be able to make the most impact for the people that they help. I always go to Charity Navigator. I will put that in the description box. So Charity Navigator is really nice because it can give you a really good look at the charity, and it has ratings for how many stars they give it, and it's just incredibly thorough. So not every single charity out there is obviously on Charity Navigator, but if you're thinking about how do I help? How do I give back? I mean, I feel like for me, that's something that always is top of my mind when I see all of these terrible tragedies and people suffering because of warfare and violence, natural disasters, what have you. The first thing I want to do is say, well, how can I help? How can I make a difference? And unfortunately, sometimes there are people out there who take advantage of that, and they'll either run scams or something like this and try to get people to give money thinking they're going to help others, and in fact, they're just getting scammed. So definitely use caution and give wisely as you are selecting your charities, and just be careful that way too, because I think sometimes, unfortunately, there's people out there that are trying to take advantage of other people's generosity by running things that look like charitable giving, but they're actually scams. So if you go look up a charity at Charity Navigator, and then also donate directly through the charity's site. I always do this myself. I never follow links that show up in my text messages. You'll often get those where you'll get a text message from somebody, purporting to be some group and asking for you to do a $1 donation or a $5 donation. I never donate through those links. Always go directly to the website of the organization you want to support and donate that way, just so that you can be extra sure that the money is going to the organization that you want it to go to. So I just felt like I really wanted to say that, just in light of everything that's going on right now and just some of the incredible suffering that many people are going through right now around the world, and that they're not looking forward to a nice holiday season. They might be living in a war-torn area, or have just suffered massive losses from a natural disaster. And so for those of us who have been so blessed as to be able to have enough money to be thinking about buying Christmas presents this year or having a nice holiday celebration, I think it's really important for us to find meaningful ways to give back, and supporting charities that are doing the work on the ground in those different parts of the world are that's just something to think about. You obviously don't have to, but it's something to consider when you're putting together your 2023 holiday budget. So again, you can download the workbook, you can print it off, and it's super easy. You just sign up with your email and it's completely free 8-page guide that I've designed for you. Okay, so let's get into part 2 of our workshop today. So here's what we're going to cover first and foremost, and I think this is really important to think through, is to really realize that during the last 3 months of the year, so October, November, December, that retailers really shift into high gear to try to get you to spend. And I'm saying this in the middle of Prime Day. And so, this is like a big time when Amazon puts tons and tons of stuff on sale. And so many influencers are putting up links to all kinds of different things that are on sale. It's kind of like Amazon's pre-Black Friday, if you're not familiar with it. And it's a great thing to be able to get things on sale. I mean, very often what I will do throughout the years, I'll have things that I've got saved for later in my cart, whether it's at Amazon or another retailer, and I'll just wait for the Prime Day sales to buy it. They've been doing it twice a year now at Amazon, so they've been doing July and October. And I think personally, why pass up a good sale and pay full price if you can just be patient and wait on your big purchases until they're running a sale? So that's something to think through, just in terms of being strategic. And so that's something that you can make those holiday sales work for you really well, whether that's Prime Day, we're talking Black Friday, we're talking Cyber Monday, and then of course all of even going into the winter sales. A lot of companies will start to run winter sales, especially clothing retailers, to offload all of their kind of winter inventory before we go into the spring season. So there's lots and lots of great deals to be found, but you do want to remember to keep your spending in line with your budget, because for most people, they do the bulk of their shopping in terms of when they spend the most money right around Christmas. It's really interesting. There was a survey done by the National Retail Foundation, and in 2022, over Christmas, households in America spent a combined $963 billion during the holiday shopping season. $963 billion in consumer shopping, which far outweighed any other holiday that was throughout the year. People predominantly do most of their shopping, gift giving, things like that during the Christmas season. So retailers know this. They've got the stores all decorated beautifully. They've got the holiday music going, and they make sure to have these fun, festive vibes. You'll see a lot of marketing talking about, oh, buy one for you and one for your giftee. So there's unfortunately like a lot of pressure to do the one thing that's not particularly the right thing for you to do if you're trying to stick to your budget, which is splurge and buy more than you had intended. So it's definitely difficult to balance those things out. So being aware that retailers are deliberately working really hard to get you to spend as much money as they possibly can in the last couple months of the year, and especially in December, is really a good place to start, just so you're not caught unawares by every time you walk into the store or the mall, or every time you go on to buy something that you're just being hit with advertising. And obviously many influencers on social media do a lot of advertising for various items during this time of year as well. So just remember that if you see something you love, but you don't have money for it right now, save it for later, just bookmark it, and you can come back to it later when you do have money. It's not that you're never going to buy it, but maybe be strategic about which things you buy. And then throughout the year, if you can kind of make a list of maybe even the big ticket items that you're waiting for those to go on sale, and then pick those up when you know they're going to go on sale during Prime Day, during Black Friday sales, Cyber Monday sales, things like that, then you can have the satisfaction of being a little bit patient and then knowing that you got the best deal possible. So it really is a good feeling. It takes a lot of work to be this strategic and to plan carefully and plan your purchases. And just practice, but it's definitely worth it. And then that sense of satisfaction that you get of not paying full price and maybe picking something up on a really fantastic sale just makes it that much more fun when you get the item home, because you're like, wow, I got this on such a good sale and it's a really high quality item. And so now I love it even more. So I'm personally a big fan of shopping the sales. I do a lot of sale shopping, just simply because paying full price, like why? If you can just give it a couple of weeks to a couple of months and pick stuff up when they're in the sales, I feel like that's the best way to get around inflation, as long as you're not just shopping because it's on sale. That's something that's an easy trap to walk into. Don't buy something just because it's on sale. I think especially for Prime Day, they build in a lot of pressure because they show you how many hours, minutes, and seconds are left before you're going to lose the price on that item. So that can create a lot of artificial pressure. They give you an artificial deadline that's totally arbitrary, and then they pressure you to make up your mind, in a snap, like right then and there. So that works fine if you were already planning to buy stuff for, around the sales to get the lower prices. If you hadn't been planning to buy things and all of a sudden you're like, oh my goodness, I better make up my mind right now, or else the sale's going to be gone in 2 hours and 20 minutes and 47 seconds, TikTok, then that creates perhaps a lot of impulse shopping problems and buyer's remorse. I have a video on that I'll link to in the description if you want to watch that as well, to help yourself not get sucked into that trap and then end up with a lot of buyer's remorse. And remember too, if you purchase something that you don't love, or you just bought it because you felt artificially pressured to, you can return it. So all is not lost. Just remember to return things if they either completely were out of line with your budget, or you just didn't like them that much, or both. Just return stuff. I'm a big returner too. I'm very religious about returning things right away if they don't work out for me. So it's also good to have that as a habit as well, of just making sure that you're returning things that don't work out for you and within the window where you're going to get your money back. And also shop at stores that have really good return policies, because it can be very frustrating shopping at some places that have some stores, especially smaller stores, have very restrictive return policies where they make it really hard for you to get your money back if you change your mind. So something to think about when you're shopping is just opt for companies that have flexible, generous return policies, and just give you the time to get that item home, look at it in your home, try it on, see what you think, whatever it is, and be able to just make a decision when you're not under the gun, whether that's like an artificial deadline from Prime Day, or you're there in a store and there's a sales associate that's perhaps pressuring you to purchase something as well. None of us make great decisions when we're under artificial pressure. So it's really good to just come home and in the calm of your own home, be able to make up your mind. And if it wasn't right, take it back. Super simple, problem solved. Okay, the next thing to think through is if you have a smaller budget to work with this year than normal, which I know is the case for me personally, because I didn't follow my advice from part 1 of this video this year, where you save for the Christmas shopping throughout the year. I've done that in the past, and then I just kind of fell out of the habit of doing it. And so I got to Christmas and I don't have a big budget to work with this year. So that one, plus we're military, and if they don't get a budget passed by November 17th of 23, we won't have a paycheck going into the holidays, and neither will any other military families. So it's just something that, between not having pre-saved for Christmas this year and then wondering if we're going to get paid over the holidays, it's changing my holiday budget strategy. So hopefully you're not in quite as funny of a position as we are, and other federal workers, of wondering what's going to happen that way. But if you're just in a situation where you have less money to spend this year than you did in previous years, what I would encourage you to do is really prioritize the things that bring you and your loved ones the most joy. That is the best way that you can get the most out of the money that you do have to spend. And this is a really good book, and I was talking about this in part 1 of our workshop. It's called The Calm Christmas and Happy New Year, the little book of festive joy by Beth Kempton. This is not in the Prime sale. I just double checked, and this is not on the sale, but it's a great little book. She also has a podcast that's free, so you can look at that as well. I'll link to that in the description. But yes, Beth's book is really good too. And she talks a lot about being able to find joy in the holiday season in ways that aren't just about gifts, and find joy in Christmas in ways that are meaningful for you. So it's not all about presents, obviously. And so it's really good to sit down and think through with your spouse or partner, with your children, with the people who are closest to you in your life, to just sit down and maybe make some hot chocolate and get some cookies and just really, or maybe make some popcorn and sit down and have everybody have a good conversation about what they really want for Christmas this year. And if they just had a couple of things that they would really wanting to prioritize that would really be meaningful to them, or if there's experiences that you want to have this Christmas, whether that's going to a concert or going to see your local Christmas tree lighting or a light show, or, the list of fun Christmas activities just goes on and on and on. Have family and friends over for a holiday potluck. Just there's so many different things. And I love the holiday season because we really tend to just focus more on gathering together, on expressing appreciation to each other, expressing gratitude for the people in our lives. So I think it's a lovely season. And so there's just a lot of ways that you can have that conversation with your family and friends ahead of time. Well, and mostly with your spouse or partner, your kids, the people you're going to be buying for and exchanging the most gifts with, and be able to decide what would be most meaningful to you. And maybe you all opt for a fun trip somewhere instead of presents, or, whatever your situation looks like. Everyone's different. Everyone celebrates differently. I think we get kind of unfortunately pressured perhaps to have a certain Christmas that looks like the things we see in the Christmas movies, or a Christmas that looks like what we see other people having on social media that just looks so perfect and airbrushed and gorgeous. And many of our Christmases are messy and frustrating and stressful, and somebody gets sick right before the holidays and everybody ends up, ill over Christmas. We've had those before. It's just one of those things where you decide what is bringing most value and joy to you, to your family, and then think through what is going to go on that list, so that with the money you have to work with, you can just move forward then knowing that you've all had that conversation together and that you're going to have something planned that's going to be special, not break the bank, and not end up with massive amounts of credit card debt after the holidays. All right, next thing to do, and we touched on this a little bit, is focus on quality over quantity. So I feel like with American Christmases, we have this sort of perception that you have to have a mountain of Christmas presents under the tree on Christmas morning, and that if you don't have that, somehow your Christmas is not too successful, and that you have to get your kids like every single present out there. You have to give presents to everybody in your life. You have to remember to send Christmas cards to everybody in your life, which lately Christmas cards and postage have really started to add up. I put that in the holiday budget workbook of line items for like Christmas cards, if you're going to have a family Christmas portrait done, stamps, things like that. Those have really started to add up. I've started to see some of my friends and family going over to e-Christmas cards and things like that. I feel like a lot of people have just stopped sending them just because that has added up so much. So I personally love getting Christmas cards from my family and friends, and they're things that I treasure and keep for years. So it's, it just depends on if that's something that's important to you or not. But we're, a lot of things on social media too, with kind of expectations around celebration, is your home has to be decorated inside and out to the nines. There's so much pressure for how our holiday tables are supposed to look and presentation. And if we all had a team of interior designers and an unlimited budget, we could probably make that happen. But for the rest of us, it's like, well, that would be wonderful. And we'd love that, but it's just not realistic. So it's really important as you are spending money on various things, whether that's gifts, decorations, you name it, to really focus on buying high quality things over just a lot of Christmas junk that's going to end up at the thrift store or in the trash a couple of months later. So really focus on quality gifts, quality items, and it doesn't have to be like name brand or expensive at all, because it's interesting, some name brand expensive things I don't personally feel like are that high of quality. So really just think through as you're buying things for the holiday season. Like, this is even true for holiday decor. I used to buy like a whole new batch of holiday decorations every single season. I'd go into Target. Target was my weak spot for Christmas because they have a great Christmas section. But I would just go in and buy all the fun decorations and really go to town. And now what I do is I'll just pick like a theme, like a color theme of what I want to do for my Christmas decorating every year. And then I'll just get a couple of new pieces and add in on top of my current Christmas collection. And so that has been something that's helped me out a lot too, not just going out and buying like every single Christmas thing that's in the store every year. That gets prohibitively expensive. So just think about, as you're buying holiday decorations, think about, is this going to last me a couple of seasons, or is this going to fall apart? Is this even worth the money? Because some things that are cheap, they're so cheap, they're just not worth the money. They're not going to hold up at all whatsoever for you. So just looking through all of those things and keeping quality in mind over quantity is really going to help your budget out as well. And then finally, you want to do your best to avoid last-minute Christmas shopping. So we were talking earlier about how none of us make our best decisions when we're under pressure and feeling stressed and like we have to make a decision right then and there. Well, last-minute Christmas shopping is like the epitome of this, because you have all this pressure with that deadline of Christmas morning to make absolutely sure that you've got all your presents shopped and done by then. And so that can really lead to a lot of really frantic shopping in the final week before Christmas. So just remember, as much as possible, just plan ahead with your shopping. Some people even like to buy Christmas presents for their family and friends throughout the year. I've done this in previous years, not this year, but I've done this in the past where I've just bought everything I was planning to give my family and friends throughout the year when things went on sale that I saw that I thought they'd like, and then just store everything and then send it out at Christmas. And then it made Christmas really easy for me from the gift giving angle because everything was already done. So that's something to think about too, is just really try and not leave things till the last minute. Another trick that I came up with a couple of years ago that has worked really well, and my family and friends have loved it, is I've started sending out gifts from Harry and David. And it is an absolutely great experience because it's easy. You can shop months in advance. You can pick out all kinds of different price points for your family and friends. And then what you can do is you can even shop their sales. You can look up on Google for discount codes for Harry and David and get discounts. And you can have all your Christmas shopping pre-shopped well in advance, and then schedule out exactly which days you want your gifts delivered on. And it just couldn't be easier or more hands-free. So if you're super busy and you're just looking for a way to perhaps save time and not so much save money, then planning out your holiday gift giving that way by kind of outsourcing it, if you will, to a company that's going to have those gifts, have them all wrapped, and then take care of all the shipping, so you're not standing there in line at the post office with everyone else trying to get your gifts to family and friends, can be a really good service as well. And there's also ways that you can do this with your Christmas cards too. Same thing, where you have it all done up and then they mail them for you. So lots of different ways to kind of outsource some of that if you have more money than time this year. And so that's just something to really think about, being strategic about just planning ahead as much as you can with this stuff. Because I think that the main thing that can make Christmas very stressful is if you don't plan at all ahead of time at all. And then you're really sucked into maybe the Christmas sales, you get your schedule overfilled with events that you don't really care that much about, but feel like you've got to say yes to all of them. So then you're just run off your feet all holiday season. And then you spend far too much money on things that maybe don't bring you that much joy. And then you get into January and you're really exhausted and you have spent your money in a way that you don't even like that much, and you've got a big credit card bill. So I think this has probably happened to most of us at one point or another, and that's what I think can make the holidays very chaotic and stressful. And that's what resonated with me so much about Beth's book, and I will link to this in the description as well. It just resonated with me so much to find a way to celebrate Christmas on your own terms. I think that that's really important, whether that's how you spend your money, how you spend your time during the holidays. and being prepared and proactive and planning ahead is a very good place to start, whether that's budget, whether that's time management, just to make that time special in ways that are meaningful to you and restful, and have a chance to kind of recharge during time when you've probably got some time off from work. Your children, your partner and spouse probably have some time off from work and school. And so you get these moments of family time and moments with those in your life who you love and care about, and be able to really savor those and cherish those, and not end up frantically running around trying to do too many things and end up with huge credit card debt in January. And I think it's also really important to keep perspective too. Like I was talking about at the beginning of this video, we're in times where there's so much suffering around the world, and there's so much tragedy, and there's so much war, that it is such a gift to live somewhere where, we're not having war, or where we're not worried about food security. We've got a roof over our heads, not worried about kind of if our family and friends are going to be okay. And so I think that that's really, really a blessing if you're in that place. And so again, don't forget to give back in ways that you're able to, that are in line with your budget. I feel like going into this holiday season, we've just had some really sad and tragic things that are going on. And so to be able to also give back a little bit in the situation, I think is really, really important. If you're like myself and you're fortunate enough to be experiencing peace and to be experiencing abundance, that we remember those who don't have those things this Christmas. Because I can tell you personally, my top thing on my Christmas list jumped this past week to world peace. That is my Christmas list number one after everything that's happened. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me for part 2 of this 4-part holiday budget workshop. Don't forget to download your Printable 2023 holiday budget workbook. It's 8 pages, and it's got some different exercises and things for you to make lists and start to figure out exactly what you're looking at for your holiday budget. And that is a great resource. Again, go to sarahedens.com/holiday 2023 to sign up with your email and get your free workbook. And I will see you again soon in my next video.